For years, a request from Donald Trump was enough to ensure Republican lawmakers fell in line. That level of party discipline became the expected standard in Washington. But right now, a wave of executive demands is colliding with a massive blockade. The architects of this gridlock are members of his own party. Republicans are actively rejecting a highly unusual slate of requests. They are blocking a billion-dollar vanity project for the White House, denying massive cash slush funds, and refusing to grant the president sweeping tax immunity. Republican lawmakers are executing a calculated pivot, prioritizing their political futures over a sudden burst of conscience. To understand exactly why the Republican dam is breaking in Washington, you have to look right past the halls of Congress and examine the brutal, shifting mathematics of state-level polling. The fracturing starts on foreign policy. In a 50-47 vote, Senate Republicans joined forces with Democrats to discharge a war powers resolution, effectively stripping the president of further military authority regarding Iran. That exact same discharge resolution is now sweeping through the House of Representatives, pulling the necessary Republican votes to clear the chamber entirely. Then you have the finances. There is a push to create a $1.8 billion fund meant to pay out January 6th rioters, complete with a rider that would grant the president retroactive immunity from any past tax liabilities and block future audits. Conservative lawmakers are actively looking for ways to dismantle it. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick publicly stated he is currently exploring legislative options specifically to kill this fund. It's easy to see why, considering figures like Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio are lining up to demand $2.5 million in taxpayer payouts. Finally, there is the infrastructure. An attempt to slip funding for a $1 billion White House Golden Ballroom into a reconciliation bill. The Senate parliamentarians struck that funding down using a mechanism called the Byrd Rule. Instead of chopping the funding up and trying to revive it in other legislation, Republicans flatly refused to help fund the project. Across military, financial, and vanity domains, the GOP is actively deploying procedural kill switches to dismantle the executive agenda piece by piece. This sudden legislative blockade traces back to a very basic instinct: political survival. Take Senator Bill Cassidy. His cross-aisle opposition to the ballroom funding only materialized after the president threw him under the bus and backed his primary challenger. But to see the broader threat terrifying incumbents right now, you have to look at Texas. The upcoming Texas Senate matchup features the heavily endorsed State Attorney General Ken Paxton running against Democrat James Tallarico. This chart shows the stark difference in candidate viability compared to 2018. Back then, Ted Cruz held a net favorability of plus 7 points. Ken Paxton is currently sitting 7 points underwater. That unpopularity translates directly to the ballot. This graphic shows Tallarico leading Paxton by a 4-point margin, marking the best polling performance for a Texas Democrat in over 2 decades. Lawmakers nationwide are staring at these numbers. They are realizing that tying themselves to extreme executive demands guarantees their own defeat at the ballot box. The gridlock in Washington traces directly to the collapse of the endorsement bump in state polling. The new reality inside the GOP is cold and calculated. The stamp of approval that used to guarantee a quick primary win is now viewed internally as an electoral liability. That shift fractures the lockstep obedience that defined the past several years of conservative politics. The mechanisms of government, discharge petitions, committee oversight, and parliamentarian rulings are finally being activated because these politicians feel their own careers are on the line. The legislative branch is intentionally exerting its authority to distance itself from executive pressure. The cold math of political self-preservation acts as the final check on a rogue executive, forcing the gears of government to grind to a halt.